Welcome back to my channel, YouTube. Today we will be unboxing the 22mm pancake lens made by Canon. I'm super excited about this lens. Currently right now I'm shooting on my 50mm lens and we will be doing a comparison as it relates to the 50mm versus the 22mm. But before we get into all of that, comparisons and all that, we got to do the unboxing first. So let's get to that. 22mm lens, just like the other 50mm that I unboxed about a week ago. There's really nothing on the packaging other than the little sticker out to the side that kind of confirms what type of lens this is. Hopefully you can see that right there. It has your branding, which is the EFM 22mm f2 STM motor, and it is the silver edition. So let's get to chopping this fave when unboxing this 22mm. So within the box, first thing when you pull it out, you're gonna see your usual books and shit. And then with that being said, let's get to what we came here for. I'm gonna put this information back in here, and then I am going to set this off to the side so we can get that out the way. So now let's get to this, and as I did last time, kind of replay my childhood a bit. That felt really good. So, let's get to it. Oh wow, yeah, it is super small. As you can see, it does have the Canon branding on the cap there. Hopefully you can see that. Let's take a minute, try to get that in focus for you. Good deal. So now that we got that, let's kind of take a tour around the body really quick. Alright, so now as you can see, the reasons why they call this a pancake lens, because it definitely is a pancake. It's super small. You're going to be able to attach this to the Canon M50 and potentially still put this in your pocket. So if we look out here to the side, see if I can get that in focus for you guys. See it, but it does have the little branding on the side. The minimum distance is about 0.15 meters or 0.49 feet. That's the distance in which you can potentially take a picture of your subject. And I'm actually going to be doing a comparison of this, as I stated, with the Canon M50 versus this 22mm. Just trying to give an example of, you know, distance and how far I can be from this lens and still get myself in focus versus the 50mm. And then also kind of look at the background bokeh to see how these differ as it relates to the background bokeh. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the actual comparison between this 22mm and the 50mm lens. 50mm equals 80mm approximately. A 22mm equals about a 35mm. So, saying that, you're definitely gonna see that I'm much closer, and my background is definitely, it should be more compressed. And the great thing about Canon is I'm actually using the Canon Connect app. So with that being said, what I'm going to try to do is, and I'm going to make a comparison from the 50mm versus the 22mm and see how, if I touch another point on my autofocus in my shot, and see if it's going to blur out my foreground and make my background a little bit more sharper. So let's try that really quick. So as you can see, and that was pretty snappy with this 50 millimeter. Even though it's not native to this lens, I was able to touch on that and get that snappy to my background. I know I was a little blurry there, but you should be seeing me now more in focus and my background back blurry. I'm gonna try that again. Focus back in on me really quick. There we go. That was pretty snappy. So with that being said, I wanted to do a comparison there and see how this 50 millimeter stacks up against the 22 millimeter as it relates to foreground and background compression. So with that being said, this was a review of the 50 millimeter. Now let's get to the actual lens that we're reviewing now and look at this 22 millimeter. I'm not going to change any of my setup initially. I'm just going to change the lens. I'm not going to move my tripod at all. Let's see how this shot looks. Alright guys, so now you have the 22 millimeter. As you can see, more of my body is in focus as it relates to me standing in the same position. I didn't change my tripod position. I haven't changed any of my lighting or anything like that. And you will notice that there is more of the shot in the frame, right? So you're going to be able to see more of my room here over to the left or to the right. And then over here to the left, which obviously if you're looking at it, it's probably going to be inverted. So my right is going to be your left, my left is going to be your right. Whatever the case may be. But as you can see, my shot is now definitely a horrible shot because you're going to be able to see half of my light fixture. And again, I am using the Canon Connect app on my phone, so I'm able to kind of see my shot here. And yes, I can see that it is totally jacked now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reframe. I'm going to do the setup again, try to get everything back to the same length as far as where I'm standing, and then kind of move my light fixture out the way so it's not in the shot. And then we'll reframe it, and then we'll be back here in just a bit. Alright guys, so I have reframed my shot. Now I'm literally maybe 1.5 feet away from my camera now. I've kind of moved my lighting out the way, but now you can actually see the 22 millimeter. I am about within arm's reach of my camera, to say the least. But you can see that this here can potentially use as a head talking type of video. I'm not really sure about using this as a quote-unquote vlog camera because it does not have in-body image stabilization, and you're gonna have to rely on the camera, the M50's in-body stabilization. And from what I've, kind of the reviews I've done, and from what I've, kind of read up on, it isn't so great. It gives it this little warp feature, so it actually hurts it more than it helps it. So for me, I don't think that's going to be an issue because, again, I'm more times than not, I'm going to have this on a tripod, and I'm not going to be moving around running and gunning. I will use my kit lens, the 15-45 kit lens, to do some vlogging because that does have image stabilization. So I'm hoping to just kind of use that anytime that I have to do some really on the go vlogging, so to speak. Kind of give me your thoughts on both of the cameras. Obviously I have the 50 millimeter, which again equals about an 80 millimeter focal length, and now I have this 22 millimeter, which again equals about a 35 millimeter focal length. Give me your thoughts on it. When we talk about what lenses to get after your kit lens, because again, my Canon M50 came with the 15-45 millimeter lens, and which was a great lens, but there are some downsides to that. Number one, it's plastic. Number two, it's plastic. And then I would say number three, it doesn't do well in low light. Right, and what I mean by that is on the higher end, the aperture goes to a 3.5, and then on the lower end it goes to, I believe, a 6.3. 3.5 is going to let in the most light, and then the 6.3 is going to close it down and let in the least amount of light. So with that being said, that kit lens is really not good with low light situations. I think it may be fairly well if you're out on a sunny day and you have more than enough light to compensate for its lackluster f-stops. But then going back to the lenses, I initially, when I did my research, there was a bunch of different lenses because the M line has started to build up a tad. And if you get that EF mount adapter, which I do have from Viltrox, then that opens up a lot of different lenses to your repertoire. So with that being said, the second lens that I did get was the 50 millimeter, and the reason why I went with that first was because I've been doing portraits and I wanted that blurry bokeh background. Then after getting that, I moved on and I've just recently received the 22 millimeter, which is what I have here. And with that, I'm hoping that my sit down head top talking videos, I could use that and have about a 35 millimeter focal length, but I'm going to get a little bit of that background compression. Oh, and before we get out of here, I do want to kind of do that test that I did with the 50 millimeter and see if, because right now I'm looking at the Canon Connect. It's a great feature to have. The Canon Connect app, you're probably going to be able to see it. Hopefully that's in focus now. But the Canon Connect app, it allows me to kind of see what's going on, and I think I'm peaking on my audio. So I mean, we'll see what that does. But I'm gonna try to touch a different part of my screen and see if I get a little bit blurry. So let's try that. Okay. Let me move over here and see if I can move this way and see if I can touch this lamp. Okay. It's a tad. I think it's a tad. I'm a tad bit blurry. I don't believe that I'm as blurry as I was with the 50 millimeter, but let's tap on my face again. Okay. Just, yeah, I did get a little bit blurry, so I'm actually excited about that. I think that this is going to be a good setup as it relates to this focal length and what lens actually can do. So as it relates to my, just head top talking videos, I think that this is going to be wonderful for me. Now, the next great thing that I do have in store, and I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm going to take you on the journey. I am building me a rig. Give me advice, give me tips, give me things that I should buy, but keep in mind that everything that I do purchase is with my own money. So please keep it affordable, right? And I'll definitely see what you guys have to offer and what you have to say. But again, I am going to be building the rig, and I am super excited to kind of bring you on that journey. And once I get all of that built out, I'm definitely going to do a review on my entire M50 Canon rig setup. This has been the review of the 22 millimeter lens from Canon, the pancake lens. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. But as always, be safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.